All right, today I'm working on a 2008 Hyundai Elantra 2.0, and the transmission is a front-wheel drive 4-speed called an A4CF2. All right, and the problem, this comes from a wholesale account, and the problem with the car is it does not have park. All right, he called us yesterday. He was kind of, picking our brain, but I really never dealt with a problem like this with no park. And he did say, well, I says, does the car move? Because first thing I think of is a broken axle. He says, no, I can drive it, goes forward, goes reverse, just has no park. I said, well, it certainly sounds possibly internal. I says, but, get the car here so we can check it out. So we brought it in today, and when we eventually brought it into the shop, I had the technician disconnect the linkage, disconnect the cable, because what I wanted to do is see if the transmission is capable of going into park all by itself, without the cable connected. So that would, if the transmission worked, of course, we're dealing with a cable issue or maybe something with the shifter handle. So he disconnects it, he comes inside to the office to get me, and he says, all right, I got the cable off. He says, you got to feel the linkage, feel the transmission. So I put my hand on it, and this thing is just moving. No defense, no nothing. It's just moving back and forth. So we know right away we're dealing with an internal problem. All right, and the way that this transmission is set up is there's a linkage rod that goes all the way through to the bottom, and there's a lever with a 14mm bolt that hooks up that moves the manual valve. Okay, so the linkage for the park and stuff is actually up in here. So the transmission would have to come out, and the bell housing is going to have to come off. So once we knew what was going on and we had the pan down just to confirm it was nothing like the bolt had come loose or the lever had fallen off or anything like that, we had called him up, told him what was going on, and he says, well, the lady wants it fixed, so pull it out and let me know what you find, and let's get it fixed as soon as we can, of course, because it's the only car she has. Okay, so we get the transmission out, and I have it on the bench. And honestly, I took the bell housing off. I just kind of put it back on so we can take this apart together. And I saw what's going on, and I'm going to show you. And I was very shocked at what I found. But we're going to go through this together tomorrow morning. It's a little after hours intro right now, but I got to get out of here because I got some things I got to do. And then we're going to open this tomorrow morning. We're going to pull the bell off. We're going to pull the pan off, and I want to show you what the setup looks like on the bottom with the linkage that comes through and the lever. We don't have to touch that, but I just want to show you what it looks like. I also have the filter off, and I'm getting a new filter because while we have it here, might as well do a new filter fluid gasket and fix the park problem. So I'll show you that filter tomorrow. I got a new one coming tonight. All right, so I guess that is about it for now. So I'm going to catch up with you tomorrow morning, and we're going to disassemble this, pull the bell off, pull the pan off, and I'm going to show you exactly what's going on with this. It doesn't look like anybody has worked on this or has overhauled this transmission in the past. It looks like the first time it came out, because when I found what I found, I had asked the technician, I said, it looked like this transmission's been out before, and he says no. He says 100% this transmission was never out before. Okay. All right, so I'm going to catch up with you guys tomorrow morning, and we will continue with this A4CF2. Okay, back with you this morning. And just to go over a couple things real quick on the outside of this trans before we pull the bell housing off and the pan. So here is your neutral switch and your linkage, which of course does not work. All right, you plug your external harness into, this is the internal harness for the solenoids. This looks a little different. You'll kind of get a shot of that with the pan down. Your input speed sensor. And your output speed sensor. All right, so let's flip this up here. All right, let's take this pan down. I'm sure some fluid drained down and So the pan's fairly clean. Yeah, the transmission actually worked good, except no park. Okay, so now I'm going to move the linkage here. And you can see this is okay, and it's moving the manual valve. And again, this did have drive and reverse. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Alright, so this looks pretty good here. So what we did is drop the pan, and we saw that this was all intact, so we figured it was up, you know, in the area where you get the bell housing would have to come off. Alright, here is the internal harness. This actually is a two-piece harness. It snaps together here. You know, you can unclip it, and it's more like a ribbon type harness, like the Volkswagens have, the O&M. All right, so that is the pan. Put the pan down. Here is a new filter, and I'm going to be installing. All right, so now I'm going to pull this bell housing off, and then I'm going to get on top so you guys can see exactly what happened. Let me just get the socket. All right, let's get these bolts out. All right, so we have a dowel here, and looks like a dowel on this side. All right, so this side, you can get a screwdriver in here and pry this up. Yeah, dowel's right here. Okay, so it's right by the dowel. The other side, it doesn't have that. You gotta be careful. So you don't actually break the case trying to get this thing out, because they have one here that you can pry up on, you know, but there's really nothing here, so you got to kind of work it around. Or there's even a tab here that you can hit it up, but just be careful, you know, taking the case off, because sometimes these things can be very, very tight. Okay, so we're going to clean up the case. All right, I'm just going to move this out of the way. This will come right out, diff. Okay, so let me get this camera over here so you guys can see what happened. Let me just turn it this way, and I'll set it up and get it right in here. And then we'll just go over a couple things. There's a couple of case seals. There's a cap that may fall out that there's a bulletin on, so I just want to show you where that is. And we'll see why this linkage does not work. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me reset, and I'll be right back. All right, so I hope this is coming out okay. I got an extra light on there. So I'm moving the linkage now, and of course the rooster should be moving, and you can see it's not. All right, and if you look in the corner here, if you can see it, let me just get it with my magnet. This is the problem. The bolt fell out. And I actually had it back in, and it was tight. So possibly it jarred loose, it vibrated loose, or was never tight to begin with. Because this is the first time I'm seeing this problem. So we just basically gotta put this back in. Tighten. And we got our linkage back. So that is the whole problem. Now what I want to do is just back out and focus you guys on the top of this transmission, because there's a couple seals I want to show you. There's a cap that also may come loose and fall out if you ever have one of these apart. And you flip it up or anything like that, you hear something hit the bench, because that's a fairly common problem, and I wanted to show you that. So our linkage is back. I'm just going to take the bolt back out. I'll probably put some Loctite on it and put it back in, and that is the whole problem. So let me just kind of get onto the let me just get over this way if I could. If you can see the linkage there. And we have park. All right, so what I want to show you guys now is this little cap. On here, you see it's got the 3 holes in it. A lot of times that comes loose, so when you're flipping the transmission around on the bench, you'll hear something hit the bench, and it's going to be this, and you're not going to know where it goes. According to my tech service, it's a fairly common problem. There is a bulletin on it. So it's pressed in here, and it comes loose, and it falls out. So I just wanted to let you know about that little cap there. And let me just turn this case around. And when you pull this bell housing off, you got one seal here, and you got one seal here. I just wanted to let you know about that too. Let me just back out a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. All right, so what I'm going to do now is fix the bolt. So hopefully that won't come out again. Again, I'm going to probably just put some Loctite on it and put that back in. I'm going to clean the bell housing up. I'm going to clean all the silicone off here. New bead of silicone, new filter, pan. We're going to clean the pan up. The pan really doesn't take a gasket, but I have a gasket. It's and you basically just silicone both sides. The job looks a little neater. And we're going to put this back together with new fluid. And that is the problem for this 2008 Hyundai Elantra 2-liter A4CF2, and the complaint was no park. I'm also going to change this pump O-ring, which I have a new one here, and this is in the family of the F4A42, the F4A51, the F5A51, and I had called Freudenberg and asked them about the pump O-ring to see if it was the same as those, because I could not get this one, you know, quote unquote, separately for the A4CF2. So I called them, spoke to one of the guys over there that I know, and he told me they are all the same. So I had Transtar send me a new pump O-ring for this as well. All right, so they didn't have it in their notes when I asked Transtar if it was the same as the possible, because I was thinking the F4A42, because of course the transmissions are similar in certain ways. And they said they didn't have in their notes, so I called over there to Freudenberg, and they said they are the same. So Now we're going to do new bead of silicone, new pump O-ring, and put the bell housing back. And then I'll let the guys do the pan, filter, and pan, because I am way busy here. Okay, so I guess that's about it. And just to recap one more time, 08 Hyundai Elantra A4CF2, complaint of no park. And first thing we did was drop the pan, saw that the linkage and the bolt and the lever for the linkage and the bolt was still in place. So at that point I knew the transmission had to come out. I had a feeling it had to come out anyway, but I just wanted to verify that it was good. And we found a bolt had fallen out of the linkage that basically works the park mechanism. And that's it. Easy fix, but fortunately you have to pull the transmission out. All right guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.